Hello everyone. Hello.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Mansoor.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello everyone. Hello. Hello. How's everything? How's life?
good. It's
It's
good.
going good.
So, how many of you wrote your product vision? If you've written your product vision, do write yes in the comment box or chat box. Very nice. So great. I think let me start. Okay. So as a homework at my end, what I did, I interviewed like 4 or 5 people, and I interviewed them for my product. So product that I selected was the website design for the academy. So basically, website for the design academy. For that, what I did, I interviewed few people. I also wrote some questions and I shared that with everyone in the group. So that is basically the script that we prepare before going for any kind of interview. So be it telephonic interview or like contextual interview, when we go and like meet the person or call them or invite the participant into the office, and like we try to discuss with them like what are the expectations from the product, or like if they're using the current product, what are the challenges or problems that they're facing, or any other kind of thing. In normal feedback, normal discussion also you can do with the users to get better insights about the product. That's the research part. That is the initial process. After like, okay, so what is that the business wants to do, and you have understood like the business goal, then you go out and like talk to the real users. You talk to them, you try to understand them, what they want or what are the expectations are, and so on, right? So here, like when we are doing the research, we also try to see or talk, and that is basically what I did. I conducted a contextual interview and then talked and like got answers. And whenever you're doing this kind of contextual interview, don't try to make it very serious. Try to take them to a coffee shop, or like offer them coffee, discuss about their personal life, about their business, and so that like the other person also gets comfortable with you, and once he starts gelling up well with you, he will start answering properly. Okay, he'll then start giving you the right answers. Okay, so I was talking about the research, right? So today what I'll do is, like in this session, after I've talked about like the basic process of like what UX process is and like how it looks like and what are the different stages, I'll start with the first is a contextual interview, and I will interview like 2 people in front of you so that you can see like how the interview is conducted and like how you ask the question. And when you're asking the question, you let the question like go with the flow, rather than like following a format and a sequence of the question. You can just like do normal chit chat and try to get the answers. Okay, that is the first thing that we'll do, and along with that we will try to use the same set of questions to create a survey. And because why we use survey, because you can't go out and like interview each and every people, right? So suppose you want to like get feedback or get input from like hundreds and thousands of people, you won't be able to like go and talk to everybody. So for that, like what we do is we create a survey and we send them out to all the individuals, all the participants, and then we try to get the information. So that is where the survey is helpful. So we'll discuss about that. So let me first show you a few things. So we have gone through all this. Now what I did was, as a homework, since I was working on this website, the Design Academy website, I created this business model canvas for my product. So I'll walk you through like what I did and how I did. And this is like again a quick work just for the demonstration purpose. So I've not given a deep thought, like I've not thought a lot. Just like 2-3 hours or less than that, I thought and like presented everything in this format, just for the sake of teaching you and explaining you like how and how we think, and like that goes in each blocks or each focus areas. After we are done with this, how I crafted my vision statement. Okay, so let me show you first the business model canvas that I developed. Let me share that with everybody. Can you see this? Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, perfect. So first of all, I put on the top, who is the client, like whom am I designing this for. So I was designing this for this Design Academy, so whatever name it is, XYZ. So like we can put this name and we can say like we are designing for this. And who is designing this? So as a company, or as a freelancer, or as a designer, if you have taken up this project, so you can write your name and when was this created. So basically when you're creating this document, so this will keep evolving as you and when you get more information about the product and during the journey or when the evolution is happening. So basically, you also try to keep the versioning of that document, right? So that's like at the right, we can put the version. Now, in this, if you will see, so there are 9 boxes, right? So on the left, what you see is all about the cost. Like these are all about the cost. Like if you suppose have to go and partner with few of the people, then what will happen is like you have to pay some fees and all. Similarly, for all the activities, you'll do some marketing and everything, and also like you'll hire resources or like buy space or rent space and so on. So everything is related to the cost. So left side is mostly related to the cost, and on the right where we see is like customer relationships, customer segments, channels, and that is basically all about the revenues. And in the center is the value prop. That's basically what you're trying to achieve, like how you're trying to make your product unique, and like what are you trying to sell. So everything around that. Okay, so now let me get into this, focus on each area. Now the first one was the key partners. Okay, so if I'm working on a website or an application or something. Now, since in my case it's a Design Academy website, so my partners would be who? One, it would be like a college, students basically, who's like passing out from the college, or who is into like IT profession but like want to switch into this UX career, or similarly like working professional who are into this design but they don't know like how to take it forward, or how to like grow professionally, and like what are the right skills or tools to learn and so on. And similarly, colleges also will be like my partners, because I will try and approach them, and through them I'll try to reach the customers, right? So another partner what I could think of was student community and training institutes and so on, right? So I was talking about the key partners. So key partners are basically all the partners like with whom I'll be working. So basically what I'll do in this phase, or during this, when I'm researching and talking to these people, I'll try to establish relationships with the partners like colleges, students, community, training institutes, and all those groups, and we'll try to like create a relationship so that through them I can sell my product. Or so in this is my case, but in other case when you are selling physical product, then you'll try to source product from them, right? And when I created this relationship, what I'll do is I'll try to approach students using their connections and network, and through their network, their connection, and after reaching the customers or basically ultimately the students, I'll try to promote different workshops and courses, right? So this is basically the partner, and it will vary, depending on the product you're working on. But just at a high level, like just wanted to show like what we actually do. So this is a simple example, and I thought using this it will become very clear to you. And what are the key activities that I will be performing as a business or as an academy? I'll conduct workshops and webinars on design. I'll conduct like various boot camps, and then I'll also create a lot of video and audio library for students so that they can come and learn a lot of things. And then also like so in order to like offer this, I might charge fees for few of the courses, a few of the stuff that's like very premium. Okay, now what are the key resources that I will need for this? One, like suppose I'm conducting workshops, and if I'm conducting from home or like other places, and conducting online workshops, then I'll need a physical space where I can set up everything, lighting, camera, or like everything. And then if I'm doing like regularly conducting workshops, then I'll need a team to write my content, and also like team who can do the basic marketing, so that like more and more students can come and learn. And the third is basically once they are there should be a team like who can maintain or create that relationship with the students. Beyond that, I'll also need a lot of tools. That is basically the collaboration tools, design tools, and then basically it can be like sketch tool to design different stuff, prototyping tool, and then testing tool, a lot of things, and funds for the marketing. So these are the key resources that I will need for this. Okay, and if I see like what is the total cost that I'll need this for, like, or the funds I'll need this, or cost that I'll have to incur. So again, it's basically software and online tools. Then team costs, like whomever I'm going to hire, I'll have to pay some salary to them. Marketing costs will be there. Physical space, I'll have to pay rent, or if I'm buying, I'll have to pay money for that. Then if I'm doing everything online, and then I might have to like create a website and get that developed. So for that also I'll have to spend some money again, and then along with that, hosting costs. So basically I will have to host the website on some platform, so I'll have to spend some cost for hosting too. Okay, so these are all costing or all the expenses that you'll have to make. Now, what is the value prop here? So basically, the value prop is what I want to actually achieve through this is basically provide professional training in design and related fields for free or at a very low cost. That is what I want to achieve. That is my value prop, and I want to make the workshops valuable content available to everyone all around the world with technology. So basically, not it's fine that I want to like conduct training, but it's my prop is that I want to reach everyone around the world. And also, when I'm talking about reaching, I'm not talking about reaching all the cities and all, but I want to reach tier 2, tier 3 cities, and also the villages, like where people don't have an institute, where they're not able to afford to learn from like premium places. So they can join this academy, they can learn for free, or and if they want to pay, they can give some donation and so on, but no fees from them. That's my vision. And also develop the right skills and guide the new designers. So basically create a community where people can come and help each other, so that like if someone is looking for a job, the other person can refer him to the company if he knows someone, or if some person is stuck somewhere, the other person should be able to guide. So that is my thought here. And also develop right interview and soft skills. So that's another USP or the goal that I want to achieve. Okay, now if I talk about the customer relationship, so how will I develop that customer relationship? I will connect with all the colleges, institutes, and design community, or any kind of community where there are more students. So I'll try to provide value to the students and help in providing internship, job, and so on. So that will help me, create good relationship with the colleges, because colleges want to give more value to the students. So if I'm helping them learn more and improve their skills, and also like help them in getting a job or internship, so it will be valuable for the colleges. Similarly, students will get education on design topics, and will get guidance from the senior people and from the community members and so on. So that is basically how I will be develop and maintain the customer relationships. And what are the different channels that I'll be using here? So I'll be using social media and word of mouth advertising for promoting my products. Okay, and all the community members will also refer people. They will talk to other people who are in need of learning or who want to get started in design, so they can refer and they can learn for free. And the other is over the internet, I'll be conducting my workshops, or this academy will conduct the workshop. And similarly, what other things will help the people come to us? So basically, if we have good reviews, if we have good feedback from the past students, then other will be willing to join and learn. And also there will be lifetime support. If they're in the part of the community, they will keep getting guidance and also support and for everything, learning new topics, and also getting jobs and referrals. And what is the customer segment that I'm targeting? I'm basically targeting students, design enthusiasts, or someone who is planning to become a UX designer. So anyone who wants to get into this or start this UX journey, he's my customer segment in this case. And also college institutes who want their students to get exposure on design and related fields. Right. So this is clear. And how will I generate revenue? So generate revenue by taking minimal fees or donations from the students. And but if someone is willing to get one-to-one training, they can pay good amount of money. So basically this institute will charge good money, not it will not come for free. If someone wants to get one-to-one paid one workshop. And group classes will always be free, so no revenue there, but again revenue will come from donation and other things. And students will pay and some of the students will pay if they want to access some premium content, and if you want to learn from senior professionals, right? So this is my business model. This is what I could think of the Design Academy. And now, can you? I hope you understood how this canvas really helps in drafting the product vision and having a good understanding of who your target customers are, and with whom you will have to partner to reach those customers, and what are the different services that you'll offer to provide that value to the customers, right? And what are the different expenses that you'll have to incur to reach there or achieve that value proposition or selling your services. And also if you are running a business, you also need to take care of the revenue, and from where will that revenue come, right? So this is a simple document, is 9 focus areas, but it really helps you get the clear vision of what the business is going to do, whom you need to partner, what services or the activities you have to offer or conduct, and what resources you will need to like bring everything together, and then also about like how will you reach the people. Okay, so this is about the business model canvas, and as part of the exercise or the homework, I gave you to write a vision statement. So I wrote a vision statement for this. Let me share that. Okay, so this is the vision statement that I wrote. So vision is to create a design academy and community of lifelong learners, providing opportunities for unlimited learning, so they can learn, they can join any batches, any sessions, and they can join online portal and learn a lot of things. So it's free, and they can come anytime and learn, and educating and nurturing design enthusiasts so they may grow professionally and personally. So if they're able to grow professionally or personally, they will grow professionally, or if they are able to grow professionally, they will grow personally, and also like it will affect the people around them, like family and others also. And if they're getting this as free or at a very low cost, they will also participate in this, and also make this education or this knowledge reach the places like villages and so on. So basically spread this knowledge. So that's the vision of this academy. Okay, so I hope everything is clear till now. Or if you have any question, you can ask me, or if you want me to you can ask me a question later also. So if everything was good, let me know so that I can move forward.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question.
Yeah.
So in the first block, you had partners. So so partner is any group or any place where I could potentially find my future users. Is it the right context?
Not necessarily. In order to offer your services, with whom would you have to do the partnership, or from whom you will have to take the services? So basically, like in academy case, if I have to reach the students, I'll have to go and partner with the design or basically training institutes, or like colleges, or student community, and so on. So they will help me reach the end users, and these are the students. So but they are basically the partners through which, by using them, I will ultimately reach the customers or the users. Okay. So that was what I did as the homework, and also I conducted few research. So we'll conduct like 1 or 2 research today, but we understood like business model, we understood like how to define the product vision statement. Now let's understand what is user experience, and then when we're doing the research or understanding the problem statement, at that stage we actually do the research, and then in that, like when I'm talking about that, I'll conduct the interview. Okay, these are like examples that I always give, like when I'm explaining the experience. So basically I always ask everyone to think of the time, like when you went to a restaurant and then had the food. As when you entered, like how did you feel? Did you like the lighting, or the ambience was good, music was nice, or like the people there, like, or the waiters and all, were they like good in behavior, like they were paying attention to you need? And when the food came, was it good, like tasty? Or also like when you were trying to make the payment, was it easy for you to make the payment, or like you had challenges? And how were you treated overall? So basically I always tell everyone to take the experience from this point, basically because we every day we use a lot of product, and we get a lot of different kind of experiences. Now in the case of the restaurant, if you visited the restaurant and you had a good time, like you enjoyed the time, the food was tasty and everything was good, the branch manager or like the waiters, they were like very good, servers very, very good, and like very well behaved, they talked politely, they fulfilled all your needs and everything, then in that case what will happen is you will get a very good experience, right? This level of satisfaction of you using that restaurant will be very good. So basically everything that whether you liked, not liked, and the average of that will make the experience. And so in this case, when I talk about experience, so whenever we talk about experience, there are like 2-3 different things. One is the product that we are actually using, and the one is the user, and the third is the experience that you derive out of it. So in this case, when we talk about this, so this is basically the restaurant is a product. You went there as a user, and then you use the product, you like the product. In case you liked your experience will be good, and in case you didn't like the experience, your experience will be level of satisfaction will be not good, right? In this case, there are different elements about the user experience. One is like you as the user, the business is basically the restaurant here, and the visual design, that basically called as UI in this user experience design. So it's basically the food, how it was served, and whether it was tasty or not, like, so everything including the presentation of how the food was served is the visual design, and usability is basically whether you were able to eat the food properly or not. So everything comes together to define the experience, right? So the level of satisfaction that you get Like in this case, when you were in the restaurant, if it was good, if you liked the food, if you were able to understand like what they were serving, and also like enjoyed the atmosphere, enjoyed spending time there, then your experience will be good. You would have enjoyed. But in case you didn't like it, you didn't understood the food, you're not able to like eat it properly, and so on. So in that case, what will happen is your experience will be bad. Right. So similarly, it happens with the product. That I mean to say, digital product. So if you are using a digital product, you downloaded some app, you try using it, and if you like the product, if you really enjoyed using the product, or if you really understood the product, like what was this purpose of that product or the app, and also like you were actually able to use the product. So in that case, you will have a very good experience. That means the product was adding some meaning, or like was meaningful in your life. So that means good experience. But if in case any of this lagged, or any of the three was not there, then in that case it might be either neutral or bad experience. So whenever you as a UX designer, whenever you're creating any product, try to create a product that has all the three. Basically, create a product which people should like, and they should be able to understand like what that product is supposed to do, and also they should be like willing to use the product, right? And it's your responsibility, or our responsibility as a UX designer, to make this kind of product. Okay. And why it's important to do that? Because this is the sweet spot or sweet point which is good for both the user and also the business. At this place, like what happens is like the business is able to achieve its goal and user is happy. So that's like the best situation, or the win-win situation for both user and business goals. Because as a business is there to make money, revenue, and so on, and user is there because he has certain need, and you're able to fulfill the need of both user and the business, then that's the best way, or like best you'll be able to like achieve the best in your product design. So these are small definitions of user experience. So when we talk about user experience, it's basically a process of creating user interactions with devices or systems. So these are basically digital system in our case, since we are all focused on the digital ecosystem, defining or designing systems for the digital space. So in this case, there is a user. He actually interacts or uses the device, and then he derives some certain kind of experience. So it could be like positive, it could be like engaging and productive, right? So the experience that the user derives from the system that he is using is basically the user experience. And the process of defining or designing that experience is called as the user experience design. Okay, so remember that the difference between the two. UX is basically the experience that the user derives by using the product, and the process of designing that experience, and this is basically designed by the user experience designer, and this process is actually called as the user experience design process, right? So whenever you are working or creating a product, always try to focus on all the personas or all the user groups of the product and try to satisfy their needs through your product. Okay. And that's why like user experience is also often called as user-centric or customer-centric thinking or design. And when I'm talking about the digital interaction, it relates to basically user and product, and it includes many things. So basically digital system, and digital system should have a good usability in order to have like better experience or high level of satisfaction. Interaction should be very good, like as and when you're interacting with the product, you're feeding in some information, you should get the response at the right time, and so on. And also at the right time also, and also the right response you should get. The visual design or the framework of like how the design is done, or like the colors used, typography, iconography, illustrations, images, everything should be very well planned and like placed in the design. And the content or the messaging that's used in the product should also be very engaging and intuitive and nicely created. So when you're able to achieve everything and put everything together in the best way, your product will have good usability. So as a UX designer, you should always try to achieve and try to make the best of these things. Okay, so this is basically different fields. So there are different roles in user experience design process. You can work as a UX researcher, you can work as a interaction designer, visual designer, service designer also is there. And then in big corporate, there are like people who only take care of the branding part, so branding expert. Then technical communication is when you have like a lot of technical stuff going in the application. Then you also create document, help FAQs and so on for that. So technical communication is also happens in those cases. And then content management, content systems, content writers, then usability engineers. So there are like a lot of fields. So your scope is big. So as a UX designer, you should have an understanding of like what are your skill sets. Are you good in doing research? Then yeah, I mean, like, you should learn that skill and sharpen your skill. And I always say that, like, initially, like when you're starting, you should work as a journalist. So basically you should know complete end-to-end process. But when you start growing in professionally, you should, like, focus on one core area or the field. So that's how you evolve or grow as a professional UX designer. So since we are talking about UX, we should understand or know this person. He is Don Norman, and he's called as the founding father of user experience. He was the one who created this term or coined this term in 1993. And I always recommend everybody to read this book. That's Design of Everyday Things. So you should also download this book, or like buy this book. Get the book, borrow the book, whatever you can, like, but read this book. This is very good book, and it talks about the daily objects, objects that we use in our daily life, and how the experiences are defined for that, and how simple common sense could have improved the product, or like had improved the product, right? So you should learn about this. And user experience is used in most of the industries, like industrial design, digital products, software. So scope is big. So if you're starting in this career, go ahead, learn a lot, like evolve yourself as a designer, and then you can get an opportunity in any of this space. Okay. Now let's start with the evolution of, like, how this process evolved. So we should go back to around like 20 years ago, wherein like the development used to happen. So at that time, what used to happen was the designers were not given that importance. Only the importance was given to the programmers or the developers. And what used to happen was, like, the businesses used to come to the developers, and they used to tell them, like, okay, like, we want to build this product, and the developers themselves used to just like by taking the download from the business, used to build the product, and they were the one who used to build the product and also test the product. And there was no other people, like, only the programmers were there, and they used to build and test and then ship it to the market. So that is how the products were designed earlier. But later on, as the time passed, and then people started understanding more about it. So what they did, they saw that yes, the developers can't do everything, so they are not capable of doing everything or managing the project. So they started placing managers in the process. So the managers used to talk to the businesses, they used to take the download, and then work with the programmers to create the products. And once the programmer built and tested the product, they used to ship it to the market, right? And that also, it was better than the previous process, but still it was not good. And then they realized that since the programmers didn't have that sense of color and presentation and so on, so they put the designers in the process, and also hired separate testers. So then the process looked like something like this. So basically, they were they were managers who used to manage or used to deal with the businesses, and then they used to also work closely with programmers. Programmers used to work with the QA, and QA used to pass on all the feedback after the testing, and programmers used to work on the product. And then once everything was done, they used to come to the designers for small things with few things like, can you give me the color for the button, or can you give me these 3 images or something like that, small design needs for that. And the designers didn't used to play a big major role in the entire process. So that was what was happening. But later they realized that yes, the designers are very important of part of the process, and they should be involved before the programmers. And then everything started changing. Now the managers used to work closely with the designers, and they used to work on the design. And once everything was good, once the designs were approved, then the designs were given to the programmers, and then programmers, after they got the design, they used to build the product. And once the product was built, it used to go to the tester, and then to and fro used to happen. Like the moment of if there are some issues in the code or the product, it used to come back to the programmers, and if there was need of any more changes, it used to go to the designers, and so on. But here what we need to understand is that the designers moved from when earlier they were at the end of the process to this beginning of the process, right? So from there everything started changing, and till that time also it was not too much of importance given to the users, but it was given more to the presentation of how the visual were and how the design looked. And it was not the human factors were not involved. Basically, the empathizing with the user, understanding the user needs, and so on. So that those were not taken care of. People are not paying a lot of focus on that. slowly and gradually they started realizing, no, like since we are developing this product for users, we need to think from their perspective. We need to involve the users from the start or the beginning of designing the product, and everything changed. So basically the process evolved, and it changed from basically just taking the brief from the business people and then started working. They used to do that basically earlier. Everything changed, and now after the brief was given, the users, the end users, were involved. So that became the first stage of the process, and that was basically understanding the challenge from the business and also understanding who the users were, and then aligning, creating or developing the perfect alignment between the business need and the users need, and then crafting the solutions. And in order to craft the right solutions, there were a lot of research stuff that used to happen. A lot of methods were used to do the research, find the users, and find like what their needs were, what frustrations were there, what they had the frustrations, were they using similar kind of product, how did their daily life look like, and how much time did they spend in using the product, where did they use the product, and so on. Okay, so understanding users became very important, and that is basically the first phase. The second was basically, once you have done the research, you had to like present that all the information that you had collected during the research in the form of videos, audios, rough notes, and also like what you do is during the research you read a lot of literature. So what are the findings of your research, of reading those literature? So you had to create something convert that into some meaningful format, because if you are working on the research, that doesn't mean that what you have understood, other team members will also have the same level of understanding. So then in this phase, the research information or the insights that you got from the research were presented in meaningful formats, so that later on the same could be circulated among all the team members and also like the other teams, not just your team members. Okay, so we'll talk about this, and we'll also create few of the artifacts that we create in this stage. And once you have understood what you had to do, the third stage basically in this process was ideating. So basically, in this case, everything was refined. You knew exactly what you wanted to do, and then you used to, like in this process, we call everyone from every team and then involved in the ideation phase. This is also called as design thinking, wherein collaboration thinking happens. Everyone ideates on creating the solution for the product, basically creating what should be the approach and what should be the solution for that problem. And during this sessions, you might come up with like 3 to 4 different solutions, but you can't create 3 to 4 solutions. So basically what you do is you freeze one solution and then take that forward. In the next stage you start defining different other artifacts that's related to creating a model or creating a prototype. That's basically a rough model of the final product. And once you're done with that, you do testing, rough testing or initial testing with the users. You take their feedback, and once everything is good, you then create the final design, and that's called as the high fidelity design or high fidelity prototype. And then you again take it back, do again testing, and once everything is good, you get it developed and then ship it to the market. You basically ship it to the market and launch the product and so on. So we'll follow this process. There are numerous other processes in the market. So some is called like double diamond process, then human-centered process, design thinking process, and so on. But we'll stick to this because this is very simple. Everybody follows the same approach. Some are divided in 4 stages, some are divided in 3 stages, but we'll stick to this because this is very simple to understand. And in this, what we do is like we understand what is the problem, we do the research for that. Once we have the understanding, we present that in a meaningful format. Once we have presented that in the meaningful format, we know like what we actually want to do. We do the ideation, we define on like what solution we wish to develop and create, and then we define the design the prototype and then ship it to the market. This is process what we understand. Now we saw that we took one challenge, right? Like in my case, it was the business or basically the academy or the website for the academy, and I also drafted that business model and also defined my business or the vision statement. Now in order to achieve what I want, or in order to get more understanding of this, these are different things that we do in this process. Okay, so one is the alignment workshop. So this happens at the initial stage when like suppose when I gave you this different challenges or the problem statement. In that case, what you did, you asked me a few questions. right? So you ask me like what should I do, like what is that mean, like we should be doing this. So basically you're trying to understand more about that problem. So this is basically the alignment workshop. So basically this is what we try to achieve or understand when we conduct this alignment workshop. Basically we call the stakeholders, we try to understand, okay, like can you please throw more light on what actually you want to achieve, what is the vision, product vision, what is your business vision, what do you want to create in like 6 products, how does the MVP look like. And there are so many different things that you try to understand from the business owner who has initiated this product. Okay, so you try to understand all those things and also try to understand from their point of view, like who are the actual users, like who would be using the product. And once you get those understanding, then you start with the next thing, and that next thing is basically you start doing your research. And there are like 2 different ways of research or 2 different methods of research. One is called as the quantitative research and the other is called as the qualitative research. Qualitative is basically like I'm talking to you, I try to get understanding from you, and I ask you a few questions, you give me a few answers and some answers, and then I try to evaluate, or I give you something and then try taking notes and so on. So basically it's all about discussion happening, getting the insights, and no numbers are involved. Basically you try to understand their emotions, their behaviors, and then try to get the answers. That is the qualitative part. Quantitative part is basically all the numbers. You get all the results in numbers, all the findings are in the form of numbers. Like if you went and did survey with 100 people, then you'll get the result in the form of numbers. Like like you went to interview, basically you conducted a survey with like 100 people, 78 responded this, 78% responded this, 20% responded that, 20% said XYZ, 23% said something else, so basically all the numbers you get in the form of numbers. So that is quantitative. So the others are a little difficult, so we'll not talk about that. That's like funnel analysis, like where the number came from, like, and then you so we'll not talk about that. So that once you've done the course, we can talk about those things. And data analysis report is basically you get these numbers, like you do the analysis of the data and try to create meaning out of that. And the other is like you do this comparative analysis and comparative analysis. Competitive analysis basically means you try to understand the market and you try to understand like who are the competitors, what are they trying or doing in the market, what are the services, what are the features of those services, and how have they packaged their product, what if they're following a subscription model, what are at what price point are they selling their subscription. So basically you're trying to understand the market, and then basis that what you'll do is like once you have the understanding, you will shape up your product. So that is the competitive. And comparative is basically you compare the features, okay, of the different products. So we understood this. Now so we'll just stay here till today. We'll just stick to this research, and now what I'll do is I'll straight away get into this interview. So interview can be in different forms. So basically what you can do is you can conduct a telephonic interview, you can meet the participant in person in some coffee shop or some place outside your office, or you can even call the participant in your office, and like you can then have a discussion with them or take the interview. So depending upon like availability or like what you can do, so you follow different approach. So in today's session, what I'll do is I'll conduct this interview. So this is basically online interview, because we can't meet in person. So this is basically the online interview. This is called as contextual interview. I'll talk to the participant. I'll try to relax him, and we'll tell him like this is not something very serious. I'll ask like some common questions, and you'll have to answer. If you're not comfortable answering, it's fine. Like it's not a compulsion that you'll have to answer. So I'll just try to deal with it and try to get the answer, and you need to make that process very smooth and very comfortable, right? Because he's new and you have met for the first time, and if you'll not make the other person comfortable, then he might not give you the right answer. So I think I'll start with the interview. So who is willing to volunteer first? Pooja or Naveen?
I do it first.
Okay, so Pooja?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So guys, just watch how this will go, okay? So basically what I'll generally do it, like when I'm conducting this kind of interview, I'll welcome him. So basically what happens is, like when they come to the office, they often call me and tell me, hey sir, I'm here, like where do we meet? Then I go and take them to like the floor or the meeting room where I take them there and then tell them, and then I try talking to them in a very normal way, like, okay, hello sir, like how's your business, like how's everything? I heard that you deal with this product. Can you tell me like which product is the best? No, one of my friend is looking for this product. I think like I should refer him to you. And like basically you try to make him comfortable before getting into the real discussion. So basically you talk about things here and there. You try to find out his interest. Like, oh, you're interested in like matches, cricket match. Wow, the IPL is happening. Which team do you like? And so getting the point, no? So basically you try to make him comfortable. And at times what I do is like I take him to the coffee shop, and like we go there, cafe, and like have coffee first, and I spend like 20-30 minutes with him to make him comfortable. And after he's comfortable, once he starts talking even about his personal life, about his personal business, then I get to the point, and then I start taking the interviews. And interviews are like as if like I'm talking to a friend, not like the real participants. Okay. So basically when I'm done with all those like initial chit chat, so then when I have to start, so basically I start with something like this. So Pooja, you ready? So once the other person is comfortable, like we are in the meeting room, so basically I get to the point and then start talking, like introduce something like this. Hi Pooja, I'm Manpreet. I'm really thankful that you volunteered for participating in this interview. Like I'm working on this project. I really wanted to understand how people are using the product, and I know like that you are using the product and you're a regular user. So I thought like you are the right person and you can really contribute towards my product. So that's why I thought of like inviting you and talking to you, and I'm really thankful like that you agreed to participate. I'll ask you some questions, but you don't have to answer everyone. This is just like for the sake of my understanding. So like I want to tell you that I'll be recording this because I don't want to write it down, create a note while I'm talking to you, because I'll not be able to pay attention to like what you are speaking. So I hope it's fine. So once he agrees, then what I do is like I tell them, okay, so I have some questions, so I'm going to ask you, so please try to answer like as per whatever understanding you have about the product, or like since you have already used, so whatever you think, like you just answer. So once he said, yeah, okay, it's fine, like you can ask me questions, then I start with the initial one. That's like, because I need to circulate this to everyone in the team, right? Because they also need to understand, they should also understand like what is happening. So that's why I start with the small introduction first. So basically I tell them, great, Pooja, can you give me a small introduction about yourself?
Well, definitely. I'm Pooja Bhatnagar, and I'm from Travel Trade, and I'm a freelancer and a travel blogger as well. So
Wow.
that's a brief introduction, what I do.
That means that you must have traveled a lot, right?
No,
Good life.
not really. But yes, I have done quite a lot of journeys, and I prefer doing solo journeys more than,
Wow.
enjoy doing my own solo journeys.
That's interesting. So how many countries have you traveled, or like how many places in India, or like what is your last travel? If you can talk about that, that's really interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about ancient monuments like forts and palaces and the ruins and all that. So I prefer exploring the unexplored things. Like my last trip was just before the COVID hit India. So I was in Udaipur that time, and
Wow.
it was a very liberating journey for me, and I really enjoyed.
That's great. That's great. So but tell me, like how did this pandemic affected your life? So now how does your typical day look like? Because you're not able to not travel and all.
Yes, I miss my travel, but COVID was a boon, kind of thing for me, because I did a lot of things. I did a lot of self-development. I joined many online courses, and it was quite enriching for me and enlightening for me. So
Tell me one thing. Like from travel, like how did you get into this design? Because this design is totally different from travel. So how did you like? And
No, it's not at all different because I work for a startup, and for in a startup you need to do everything on your own. So I have this bent towards creativity. So I do self learning a lot. So I did Photoshop, and then I did some video and audio editing for our videos, for the places which we
yeah.
promote. So
Yeah.
that's also creativity, I believe.
But tell me one thing, like, okay, you're learning this design, but how serious are you? Like, how serious? That's one thing, and other thing is like, what are the different approaches that you're taking to learn?
As I told you, I'm a self learner, so I do a lot of research online. Like when you
Yeah.
give me any kind of before your classes or even after your sessions, I try
Mm-hmm.
to do research, what you are trying to say, because I'm new to
Mm-hmm.
this field, UX things. And as far
Yeah.
as seriousness is concerned, right now I have no answer to it, neither yes nor
Mm-hmm.
no. I'm exploring and I'm doing with the open mind. So I really can't give you an answer on that. So I'm just going free flow
That's
with it.
fine. No, that's fine. Like, but still, like, when you're learning something, what is your biggest pain point? Like, what is the difficulty? Are you able to, like, create a schedule, or like, what is the biggest pain point that you have, like, while learning something new?
My biggest pain point is like the timing of the class, the session, because I can't have all the things at a time, so I have to manage my time accordingly, So because
Yeah, uh, I'm sorry for the timing because I work, and so basically 9 p.m. in India means 7:30 in Dubai. So like I reach home by like 6:30, and I fresh up and then I prepare for this session. So that's why I can't like shift it to like 8, or because at by that
that's
time I'll be like
okay.
on. So
Okay,
I'm
you are
sorry for
taking
that.
so much. No, you need not be, because you're taking so much time and doing this to free and giving us the knowledge. So we also have to adjust somehow our timings and everything. So that's not an
And
issue.
yeah,
So since you asked,
thank
I'm
you.
just telling you. And
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
is that
perfect. Uh,
the pain point is that because I'm a new person and pacing with the group which already has some experienced people or graduates from the same field is a little bit
Yeah.
of a pain point for me. So because I'm not from this industry at all, so but I make my
Okay.
efforts and I leave it rest. I go with the flow. I have no I have not come
Sure,
here with
sure.
a block mind, okay.
Yeah, that's how you should approach new things. Now tell me one thing, like suppose you have to choose an institute like for learning something, and means like you are very serious about something, learning something new, and like you have to choose something like either an online course or an institute. So what is your general approach? Like how do you select an institute?
I usually do a research online, definitely, because there is no other way for
Yeah.
me. I'm personally. So I go through the reviews and then the course content and everything, and then this is how I do my research, and then I come to a conclusion. Now here I just want to clear something. Here you're talking about how to choose between personal touch learning or online learning. Are you
Yeah, that's another question. That's a different one. Yeah, please go ahead and answer that too. Like
okay?
how do you,
See,
which is your preferred mode? Like do you love like learning through online stuff, or like online training, or like it's offline that is in person you want to like learn?
the one best advantage of face-to-face learning is that there is a lot of interactions as far as activities are concerned. Like you can clear your doubts. You have more time to interact with
No,
the teacher.
you can clear doubt here also, no? It's online.
No, but here we have a time, so either we can't disturb in between, but there we can interact, and the time is more, and then you have your other fellow students next to you, so you make a camaraderie out of it, and then you can even approach them and gain and share and gain knowledge. So this is the
Right.
best thing. But on online it's slightly difficult, and but online has the biggest advantage that you can do things from your from your living room any time, anywhere. Even if you're moving on from one place to another, you can do
Yeah,
it
that's
through
right.
your mobile. that's
Now
there. And
tell me one more thing. Like, have you bought any courses, like online courses, like means paid for the courses, not the free ones, but like any paid courses? Have you bought any of those, like from
I
any
did
online
few
website?
courses. Yeah, I did few courses from Udemy.
Mhm.
One was on my emotional intelligence because that was totally sheer on the self development. So I really liked
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
another was digital marketing. But unfortunately, the teacher, the way he was teaching, and the explanation was that I left it in the middle. I haven't completed that course yet.
Now tell you one more thing. Like you've seen that I'm conducting this workshop, and like so I'm thinking of like creating conducting more workshops of these kinds. Now tell me, like looking at the content that I have or like the stuff that I'm teaching, so would you be like willing to pay like a minimal amount of like 500 to 5,000 for like these 16 to 20 hours of like full workshop? Like is it worth like, or you won't pay? Like you'll say no, I won't pay.
See, it's too early for me to comment on that because I've just done. This is our, I think, third class, so that's very early for me to decide on that thing. So,
Yeah.
once I'm through with this whole thing, whatever the sessions you'll be completing, 16 or 18 sessions you'll be doing, I'll be a better judge and I'll be a better commenter after that only.
I think this was good, and I really got the like valuable insights from the discussion we had. And I think this is whatever you said, no, like this will really help me, like create or improve my product. I have another question to ask you, like basically, like if suppose again, if I want to approach and like, contact you for more discussions, like would you be like available, or like would you be willing to participate?
Yes, definitely. It's a learning for me as well.
Very nice. Perfect. Great. I think like I'm done. So I'm really thankful to you like for participating in this.
And thank you so much for giving the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. So guys, you saw like I asked the question, but I didn't follow a sequence. I let the participant talk and like share their experience, their ideas, or like whatever they had in their mind. I became an observer. Just tried gathering all the information that the participant told to me. Okay, so out of those talk, like what we did right now, so out of like suppose we talked for 10 minutes, out of that like 2 minutes or 3 minutes of talk might be like sensible, or like that was like relevant to what I wanted to get, or like but that is how you should conduct the interview. So basically you should not be very serious, or you should not go with the flow. Let the flow happen, and like let the other participants speak or talk like whatever they have in their mind about the product, about the service, about the competition, about XYZ price point, XYZ, whatever they have, like let them talk. That is when you will get the right insight. And once you have got the right insights, you can hear the recording, you can hear the video, and then can start getting the right valuable information from that. So if for example you conducted interview for 10 minutes, even if you get like the real information for about like 2 minutes from that 2 minutes talk, so that is still valuable. So that is how like generally I talk or I conduct my interviews. And I always like thank them for the time that they have taken out for the interviews. And also at the end of these sessions, I generally what I do is like basically the product team always has some budget for something. So basically either we give them some gift cards or something in reward, like as a gift to them. So at the end of the session, so that is what I generally do, and also my team generally does. And if you're not late, I can conduct one more interview. So Naveen, are you there?
Yeah, man, but I'm here. Yeah.
Perfect. So Naveen, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready. I'm really excited, man. And can I switch on my video, man? So it'll be more engaging.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yep, Manfred, can you see me? Hi.
Yeah, perfect. Hi. How are you?
Yep, I'm doing good, man, and I'm very excited again. Yep.
No worries. Consider I don't know Naveen. Okay, this is the first time that I'm talking to you, but yes, I can start my conversion or discussion in a way like, hey Naveen, how are you? So I'm really excited to meet you. Like Ramesh, he referred you to me, and he told me like, yeah, he's a regular customer. He's like been using our services since like years. He can be like a really good person and the right participant for this to give the feedback of the product. So I'm really excited to talk to you, and I'm really thankful that you're participating in this and you agreed to like you spend your time like with me. I'm really thankful to you.
Oh, thanks again, and it's upon me.
Yeah. So you had your lunch today?
Yep, and so just now I have just now have
Very
completed.
nice.
And
You know,
how about
I wanted to have, but like I was so busy, I didn't have my lunch. So I just grabbed one apple and that's it. So,
okay.
but
Okay, cool. Let's finish
it's
off.
fine. I think
Yeah.
like after this we should go and have lunch. Okay.
Sure.
So okay, so I'll make it very quick. I'll not like take much of your time. So you know that I'm working on this product, and you're already a user of that product. You know, so what I'll do is I'll ask you a few questions. I've already framed that. I'll not take much of your time. And do remember that there's no right or wrong answer. You just like speak whatever comes in your mind. You can just talk and explain and,
Sure.
and talk about it.
Sure, man.
And yeah, so one more thing that I wanted to make you note of is basically I'll be recording this session, and I hope you're okay with that.
Okay, cool. No problem on that. Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. See, I'm conducting this for myself and also for my team. So I'll start with basic with a request that can you please like give me a small introduction about yourself?
Yep, sure, Manpreet. Yep, and I'm Naveen. I'm from India, and I'm currently pursuing my MBA. I'm in my third semester, and I'm really aspiring to become a good product manager because I'm having some few years of tech experience, and so I'm coming. I have seen this is really good building a product that will solve some problem for people. It's really good. And through my brother, I came to know about this program, and so I'm in here, and I'm really excited to be here.
Very nice, and it's so very good that you agreed to join this and learn this, because product design and UX, it goes together hand to hand.
Yeah,
so
sure.
it's very good that you really happy that you joined this.
Thanks.
Now that you are you are doing your MBA and also like you want to be a product manager. So how does your day look like? Like what do you do every day? Like how much time do you spend in learning, reading, like other things? Like what does your day look like?
Yep. Like I'm having 3 to 5 hours of online classes for my MBA college, and on the meantime, I'm pursuing my product manager course from Coursera, and it's a brand new course from AIPM. And again, I used to visit many blogs and communities through Slack and LinkedIn, and I spend like 1 hour daily through this, so I can understand what is happening
Interesting.
to get network with people, and again what product is coming on through Product Hunt, and I used to have this routine. Yep, and then
Very
weekends
nice.
are just chill up. Yep.
Great. Now you understanding about this product and everything. So what is your understanding about design? Like what do you understand by design?
Yep, as you said before in the course, the developers, I was being in development, so I knew this very well that developers will think this is the need of the customer and they will keep on doing it, okay? But designers are the true people who will know what people need by experimenting, by making the studies and research.
That's right.
And
That's
and they will try to fill the gap between the product being developed and what the customer actually needs. And this is where design is. And again, design speaks of the product, right? This is everything.
Yeah, that's right. That's very good. Now tell me one thing, like you aspire to become a product manager, but even if given a chance to also learn about user experience design and everything, so how serious are you about like learning user experience also?
Yep, cool. In a scale of 1 to 10, I would rank around 8. Why? Because this UI UX is a very critical skill in an arsenal of product manager. Because I'm planning to attend an internship interview by this week, and it is a product manager, but basically fully oriented with UI UX skill only.
Yeah.
Yep. And
So
they are
that's
not
why,
into. Please.
No, go ahead, please. Very good.
Yep. And they are into tech side, but there are good product managers in tech side. So they need a product manager intern in UI UX side.
Yeah.
So I'm preparing on that.
And that's a good thing. Now tell me one thing, like when you're learning this and learning about design, learning about product management and so on. So how do you approach it? Like, do you take online classes, or you love like going to an institute and then learning with a teacher, like when teacher will present and then learning it? So which one do you like more, online, offline, or what is your approach of learning?
Yep, my preference is online. Why? Because I can meet the best minds. Okay, like you and like other staffs. Yeah, because seriously, I know I'm grateful to you.
There's no boundary. There's no boundary.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. There are no walls in between me. So again, I can meet the best minds, and again, there is a good community with all the people out there. So I can also interact with them through LinkedIn and through Slack, and so I can form a very good network. So I prefer online media.
Now tell me one more thing. Like suppose there's an institute who is offering a course. So and you have to like, if you are willing to like take a seriously willing to take a product management course, and there are like n number of institutes. How will you select that? What is the process of selecting that one institute?
Yep, and I will answer this with respect to product management, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest problem with product is everything is very expensive because there are many institutes like Product School, Mind the Product, and Academy. There are a lot of institutes available like Growth Tribe, but the price point is the biggest problem there because they are offering at about 2 lakhs every course starts from. So what I would do is I will see how many years the institute is there and about the placement opportunities they are providing, and again the community, how well they are and how often they are engaged. So I will because joining the communities will be a free of cost. Just I will give my email address, they will engage me. So I'll just look at it and then I will go. So that's why as of now I took Coursera because it is less expensive. I got through my college and it's really doing good. Yeah, this would be my question.
Now that you talked about Coursera, so they also have that paid, you can get the certificate after completing the course.
Exactly.
So have you bought any of those paid courses, or like have you paid money for that, or any other like bought any paid course like from Udemy or other places?
Sure, Kal. What happened is with Coursera's case, I got a license from my college. Okay, so due to this Corona period, Coursera had some kind of agreements with college and they provided free certificates. Okay, so I used this opportunity and I did some courses, and I think I completed near 43 courses, man. Seriously.
That's really good. That's really good.
And it really added a very good power to my profile through my LinkedIn profile to get connected with people. And again, this is a really a powerful community, Coursera, which Coursera provides.
It is.
And I have paid for few courses, okay, like in Udemy. Okay, I used to pay with Udemy because it is cheap. Like within 500 Indian bucks, I can just go there, I can test it. So I used to use.
Now you talked about that 500 rupees. So now tell me one thing, like the way I'm conducting this workshop and I want to reach more and more people, and I'm spending a lot of money also like on technology, on different tools, and also spending so much time on it. So I was thinking of like charging like 500 for this, like 16 to 18 hours, and that to like full practical workshop, like real like a boot camp, like when I was sharing like the real professional knowledge, like what I or the other industry professionals use in their daily life. So if I'm doing that, and for these 16 to 20 hours, and also like after that also like guiding and mentoring people, is that 500 to 1, like let's say like 100, because 500 people will still can pay. So 1,000 rupees for these workshops, and like and also like you can ask me questions. I'll always be there to help you, guide you. Is that 1,000 too much, or like you'll just like pay and like you will not think much before paying?
Again, no, I'm as a student. Okay, this 1,000 rupees is a big money for me as of now. But I'm ready to pay, Manpreet, to be serious. Okay, why? Because you are there in live session. This is not like a pre-recorded videos, right? I'm having a very big advantage of messaging you. So if I'm having any doubts, either through class or even in offline also, I can do that. So what I like as of now, for each session, I would pay around like each for 1 hour of class, I will pay around 200 to 300 bucks. Okay, for sure. But if I'm working, I will pay more. To be frank.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So I'm just talking, just trying to understand. It's not that I'll be charging like 500 or 1,000. I'm just trying to understand. Okay? So now that I've organized this workshop, and like workshop will be over will be over by next month. So after that, like I'll be conducting another workshop where I'll be teaching. I'll start with the portfolio, and I'll just like guide the participants to create their portfolio, not just one case study, and like at least 3 case studies, so that they are ready for the market. So if I start that, you will be willing to join that and participate in that?
For sure. Like
so there are 2 things. So one is like if I do it for free, and the other is like if I take like 1,000, not like 500, 1,000 rupees.
Okay, cool. And I want to know the timing, like next month, coming month, the month.
Suppose December. No, there's not timing. No, this is just a question.
Okay, cool.
January, February, March, April, May, June.
Okay, then that's fine. Okay. For sure, I will join you. Okay. If it is free, okay, that's fine. Okay, to be frank. But you ask me to pay money. That's 2,000 rupees. Okay. Yeah, for sure, I will get into that because I'm
And,
getting
and if I give third option that you pay me once you get the job, then
I will ask you another one question. Like I can pay whatever I need because I will not limit
Yeah.
myself by 1,000 rupees. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I will be grateful to you, man. To be frank, yeah.
perfect. That's good. That's good. I think this is good, man. This is a nice session. I really got like good insights from talking to you, and I look forward to seeing like in my other workshops and like
Sure.
closed.
Yep, I'm
Yeah.
very
So
happy to be here with you.
so
Grateful to you. Yeah.
that's really good, and I'm really thankful for taking time to like volunteer
Thank
for
you.
this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Yeah.
So guys, you saw this, everybody.
Yeah,
Did you get
saw
it?
this.
Yeah, clarity. Let's see. I didn't go with a very serious approach that no, I'm conducting this interview. I took him into confidence. I like talk about XYZ things, and then after I got his confidence, after I spent some time with him, I got into the real discussion. And by that time, what will happen is you will develop certain kind of relationship with him, and then he will be like willing to answer everything, and that too like will get the right answers, frank answers, not just like anything like. And if you will not create that relationship, then what will happen is user will come and if you'll ask him like, can you give me the feedback about this product, he'll say, no, I use this product and I really like it. Even if there are like XYZ a lot of problems, he'll not like point those out, right? So that's why when researching, when talking to the users, become their friend, try to live their life, try to spend a lot of time with them, because that's required. If you really want to become a real product owner, product designer, and really want to build real product that is solving real problem, then you'll have to get involved with the user. Okay. So I think like I'll stop this here, and I wanted you all to like talk about your BMC, but I think like we'll talk it in some other class. But I just wanted to show you like how the interviews are conducted, so that you get an understanding. You should know like how these are conducted and like how these scripts are written. And I used the script what I wrote and shared with everyone, right? But I didn't follow a format. I just kept asking as per the flow of the discussion that we had, right? Yes, so I'm done for the day. So next session we'll do something else. And before the next session, what I want is like everybody to be ready with like what I gave, the homework that I gave in the last session. So basically the understanding who the competitions are, and then writing this script if you can write the script. And also I will share a survey link. Okay, so if you can use your script that you are going to write to create survey also, then well and good. So basically by the end of the before the next session, we'll be done with the research. Okay, so let me see what are the comments. So perfect. Can you share the way how we chose exact question that relate to our business model? There is no perfect way. So you will have to understand your business and then frame your question accordingly. Like in my case, this was Academy website. Okay, so that's why I framed accordingly. So I started with like the introduction, like who they were, like, and also you have to find the right participant and the right audience, because only then you will be able to ask the right questions and get the right answers. Okay.